Welcome back, everyone, to another edition of the Week in Horror Front Row. So good to hear everybody out there. This is really amazing. This has been an awesome front row to get set up. I am currently with my very special guest, Sean Haitz. Welcome, sir. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us.
Oh, thank you so much. Really excited to be here.
Awesome. I know, and everybody has to know because we watched the trailer for your latest film, Cannibal Comedian. It's currently on the festival circuit, and yep, oh, that's an awesome coffee mug. That is sweet. People are gonna love that. And the poster in the background is awesome. And I know that festival time is always so nerve wracking, and just you want to pull your hair out. This is why I have no hair myself. And but you're getting through it, and you took some time out of your schedule to sit down with us, which is fucking amazing. So, and by the way, yes, we're salty on this show, so you can curse all you want. It's all good. But
Well,
yeah, this
shit.
is yeah, well, fuck, man. So this has been awesome. So we found you by virtue of one of your actors, and we found Cannibal Comedian that I had to dive into. We watched the trailer, and I had to like go, so that opened up the rabbit hole of your filmography, and I dove in, and I had to check out the stuff because I was like, where does the inspiration from this come from? So got to know, like, you have a very unique palette when it comes to the horror that you do and the stories that you tell. And from that, kind of like your beginnings there, like getting into horror and getting to where that was your signature style. What was that journey like?
Yeah, I usually I start off with Halloween, which every kid loves Halloween. It's candy, it's trick or treating, it's dressing up. I always took it to the next level. We didn't quite have a garage, so we made a haunted yard with graves, and my mom was into it, and we'd spray paint and make graves, and then I'd get my friends in the neighborhood to help. Now I know what they're called. They're called scare actors, and I would
Nice.
get scare actors to help me, and we would set it all up and have a whole production. And that was the beginning. And then right after that, I remember my grandmother, which I call Nana, would bring over her video camera. And I am old enough where they started to go digital, or young enough to where it was both digital and the 16 millimeter, but I never messed with the film. I started off with just pressing that red record button and let's go. And that
Nice.
that's that's sort of the start of it. And I took that from her when I was like 10 years old, and I was off and going. And uh, I yeah, with the horror, I was Freddy Krueger before I ever saw Freddy Krueger, or before I even saw Nightmare on Elm Street. I just loved his vibe and the whole get up, and I was just like, I want to be that guy for Halloween. And that was really the grounding of my love for horror. And a little bit later, it came on to the it was what was Nickelodeon had the Are You Afraid of the Dark, and that whole
Yes.
thing. That was a nice intro into horror as well, because it was very creepy. And they had a lot of, and R.L. Stein. I was reading those
Mhm.
books, Goosebumps and stuff. So it was a really nice intro into horror for me, and I just
I
fell in
do.
love.
I
Yeah.
loved. I loved myself as well. R.L. Stein, fantastic. Loved the Goosebumps series. Oh, Afraid or Alone in the Dark. There was it was that was like way. It was so much darker, and I think informed a lot of my writing as a writer, just because those endings were often not like, oh, we win like that. There's a lot of ambiguity there, and a
Yes.
lot of kind of like, what did they win, or did they won, or at what cost? Very kind of like, like Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Like who will survive and what will be left of them is like, did they actually get through? So I love those. I love this. Plus, it was like, Friday the 13th, the series, which at my age that came out in '88, and my dad got me hooked on that. I was like, so I was kind of like diving in there early on that. Love that stuff. Um, so you kicked off and started basically kind of like how everybody else does with a number of shorts, and you progressed from kind of like the Holly, just kind of like enjoying it as just for fun during Halloween, and just kind of like being a horror fan and the movies that you love, like that. But you progressed into short films from there. Did you?
Sure.
Oh, it's
So really, when I really started to try to make things that were cinematic, I guess, I I loved the first Scream, as most of us do, and I loved the dark comedy aspect. I loved it. I was obsessed with Scream. I was obsessed with that character and all the characters in that film. I must have filmed at least a dozen times the cold open with Drew Barrymore. And I'd use my sister-in-law. I'd use my sister's friend. I'd use my mom. So I shot that over and over, and we would get the little recorder with the voice changer on it, and we would do the whole thing. And so I also was into special effects, and I would do a whole deal with I mean, we would do fog machines, strobe lights, black lights. The cat's pajamas as a kid, and have the neck slit prosthetic, and guts coming out. I mean, I was doing that like 13 years old. And then so we wanted to take it a step further. I got the okay to shoot at my elementary school. I was now maybe sixth grade, so I was in middle school. But my elementary school, we got the okays to shoot. We just said we were going to shoot a short film, and they okayed it. They didn't know it was going to be a horror movie with blood and knives and everything like that. So later on, we got in trouble, but we got everything we wanted to shoot. And I was just smart with like things like, okay, I'm only 14, I can't drive. We want Ghostface to kill someone and then drive off. So at the time, I had I knew my mom's boyfriend at the time had a really cool Mustang. So I'm like, well, that's production value, a GT Mustang. And so I had him dress up as Ghostface and stab someone and then take off, and and so that was my production value. That was a big deal because you got a car, wasn't necessarily smoking the tires but just taking off fast. And this isn't story. This is just all production value stuff, because I didn't really know story. I just knew I wanted to get out there and make it happen. I just was very ambitious, and at the time too, I knew things would look good by just making it look realistic. So at 13, I knew that I needed to get extras. I don't know why, or I think it was just instincts. Like, okay, this isn't going to look real. We got to bring your books, bring your book bag. I was already producing, and I'd get kids to help me, younger than me or whatever, and walk. I would have the camera moving, and the two main actors talking and walking, like basically a steady cam shot or a dolly shot. And then I'd have people cross, with books and backpacks, and it looked like a real school day. So that was my real start. And then at the time, I think I didn't even have an editing software program, so we just shot it linear. So it was just like as best we could, not be abrupt with the cutting.
Nice. Oh, I remember my background days as an actor. Those are always fun. I just, whether it was like they were looking for specific people, or it was just a cattle call and bringing everybody in, like, so let's get like 300 extras in here. Oh, I remember those days.
Yeah.
Ricky Gervais captured that in his show Extras. Is very, very much like that. It's just absolutely bonkers. Now, given that, it has to be said, Mangrove Slasher 2, with Mangrove Slasher and the segue, kind of like you go hard in the cannibalism front. So I have to
Yeah.
say, cannibalism, obviously, ever since Texas Chainsaw Massacre, anytime people eating people, Spider Baby and shit like that. So the question then becoming, so why cannibalism?
If you have no
And
story, always go with cannibalism.
okay, yes,
If you want
truer
to,
word.
if you want to, just make people cringe and go to that next level, cannibalism is always there.
You cannot go wrong. You cannot go wrong with long pig. You simply there's the rule of
Yes.
thumb. All you burgeoning filmmakers out there, you can't go wrong with the rule of thumb. You can't go wrong with long pig. That's how it works. Absolutely not. Now, I imagine it was really tough shooting in Florida.
Like weather-wise?
Yeah, just because okay, so for context, like I was Texas based for about 30 years,
Yeah.
and shooting in Texas, especially in June, July, and August, is insufferably brutal. Is just savage because the weather in itself is almost like a character that you have to deal with, and it's almost like a villain in and of itself. But Florida, I've visited Florida one time, and the humidity just about knocked me on my ass, and I saw your actors running around. I'm like, it's got to be brutal out there, but not just for them, for that crew who's just like,
It was brutal for me because at that time I didn't know how to delegate, and I'm doing special effects makeup, and I'm playing a character because I have a band called Cosmic Jetty. So I'm I did like this Beetlejuice like zombie makeup, and I'm running around, and I'm doing like five things, and by the end of the day, I'm like exhausted. But that was the beginning, I just felt like I just needed to get my hands in everything. So a lot of that was shot on the beach, so it was kind of nice.
oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah. And then we literally uh had a like a keg party, like a beach party. And then we had an open invitation, like come be in a movie, be in a slasher movie, drink, have fun. And so everybody was game. It was so much fun. It was literally just a party. That
Oh,
was
that's
the only
awesome.
time I had ever done that. I mean, I wouldn't do that on like something like Cannibal Comedian, which, it's a more professional, it's just
Mm.
we're trying to make a real movie. I mean, that at the time we were too, but I knew I'm just good with like, okay, we're gonna get a lot of people if we have a keg. We're gonna be able to, have a big beach party massacre scene, and we don't have pay, so it's just like come be in the movie.
Nice. Yeah, it was that
Yeah.
shot when they're coming down the river, and would kind of I was like, because I imagine that where you were with, especially
Oh yeah.
right. And as I was sitting there thinking, I was like, man, the heat or the humidity has got to be alligators everywhere. It's kind of like depending upon where you were shooting. And I was kind of
Yeah.
like, man, that would be that
We
just
were in saltwater there, actually.
oh, so I was just sitting there thinking, it was like, man, Florida, that's gotta be. I've shot in Texas and I've shot in Oklahoma, and it's savage. Especially when you get the heat up, or when you get into the colder months, it's just brutal as hell. But I was imagining Florida because my experience in Florida was I couldn't get enough water. I was dying, and I went into this state where I was just like everything I get my hands on. So, but I imagine that would be a fun experience, especially on the beach and corralling people. So come in, drink beer, and let's have fun and have a blast.
Yeah, I mean, we had strippers taking their clothes off, little people. I mean, drag queens. It was my grandmother, Nana. I mean, it was a hoot. It really was. It
That
was
is
the
amazing. That's
incredible time.
awesome. So, one thing that got me because then I found Big Top Evil. So Big Top Evil, because and I have to say, just out loud, I am a tremendous Bill Moseley fan. I'm a huge Bill Moseley fan.
I
Yeah,
got it on
exactly.
VHS.
Nice.
Yeah.
And I noticed for though, like, was the so you seem to like the first thing that obviously popped out. Obviously, the teenagers are going to look for the site of the original Mangrove Master. So same universe.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's
So
cool. That's
and
cool that you got to see that because people don't know what it is. And when I moved out here, people are like, "What the hell are mangroves?" So I mean, we were really in our own little world there. And then it's just so funny that at the time it seemed smart. Yeah, yeah. We were doing our little universe. I was creating the universe. And so yeah, yeah. Maybe as I make more movies, people can go back and then go, "Oh, that's cool that he was doing that." Who
Many
knows?
cannibals in this universe. Lots of cannibals.
Yeah, that was just to do something different, like flip the script with like the whole zombie Walking Dead thing was
Mm.
really big when we were making that, and I was just like, well, I don't want to be zombies. What if they're just like locked up in a shed and just they're just cannibal clowns, you know. And
That sequence when
yeah,
the signal goes out there and they're all coming
yeah,
out of spaces, that was like, all I'm thinking is clown car, because it was like coming out of places that were just like, "Oh, how are they fitting?" Oh, I get they're clowns. That's what
yeah,
clowns do. So that's why I
yeah.
really enjoyed that. I definitely saw it. There's a couple of questions I had regarding that, because especially from a filmmaking standpoint. First and foremost, I got to ask. I noticed that there was some fantastic allusions to House of a Thousand Corpses, and I don't think it was just Bill Moseley and what he was bringing to the set, but there was some fantastic ways of, I think, inspired shots that I think were that, and I just wanted to compliment you on that, because doing them one way, doing a zombies way was his way, but you took them and made them your own, which I
Oh,
thought was
thanks.
really cool. So, and I don't think you could take from a, like doing Cannibal Clowns, I think you could come from a bit, better inspiration than the Firefly family and that kind of zany wackiness of House of a Thousand. I thought that was very inspired, very cool. But
Yeah, thanks.
when it comes to Bill Moseley, with named talent coming in for a shoot, one of the difficult things, I think, I think, speaking about this as a filmmaker, obviously when you're writing a script and you're starting at the front, you never really know who you're going to cast. You could write a part for somebody, but you never know if you're going to get them. It's just kind of like that's the inspiration. Now, balancing a budget with name talent, especially with characters, whether they're like that, how difficult do you find that to be, that process?
Well, in that circumstance, we had already shot, let's say, 60% of the movie or more, and then we brought on Bill Moseley, and Jay LaRose is in it from Saw
Hmm.
3. He is at the beginning, or close to the beginning of the film. Uh, yeah, so he's the roadside like hillbilly guy. Uh, we we had some budget, but the budget would just kind of come when Sharon, our producer, was in a whatever mood she was in.
It's so true. So true.
So that was like another, like, it was like, it was just a point in the filming, where we were just, I'm trying to think of the word, but it just a point where, okay, now it's time to, we want to pitch, uh a named actor in the movie, and actually everything happened organically, and this is, I think you'll like this. I became friends with Paul Rubens,
Nice.
and yeah, and he's a Florida guy, and he grew up close to me where I grew up, where his house was there when where I grew up, and he worked for my uncle for a little bit after high school. So uh, we started talking, and he found out that I'm a filmmaker and that I'm a horror, filmmaker. And I told him about Big Top Evil. He loved the title, obviously, Big Top Pee Wee. And so he said he was in LA. I wasn't in LA yet. He said that he ran into Bill Moseley at the gym, and he's like, you should try to get him in your film. And at the time, I just didn't know that name. I knew the name, but I was just like, who's Bill Moseley? And I looked him. Oh shit, Devil's Rejects, House of
Chop
a
top.
Thousand Corpse. Yeah, Chop Top. I love this guy. I really did. I really love that actor. And so I ended up meeting him at Spooky Empire, and Paul Rubens told me to drop his name, and the rest is history with that.
Nice.
Obviously, then it was months later, we had to go through his management and things like that, but we got him down there for the day. And I don't know if I answered your question. No.
No,
Yeah,
absolutely,
it's,
because it's always so challenging. And one thing that
yeah,
we've run into is that with a few of our scripts is that we envision that particular people might play certain roles. Like, for example, I for a current remake that we're working on, that we're working on getting funding for. I really want Nick D'Amici for this one particular role, but there's no guarantee we're going to get him. So, but I would
Right.
really want him in there. Him, and I would like Larry Fessenden just because they're fucking fantastic and I love them. And that's my vision. But given the budget constraints, there's no guarantee that even if we could get them, or even if they were available, that we could cover that cost. So it's always kind of a balancing act. And so, but it's an interesting position that you had about most of the film already done, and then we're able to segue this part in for Bill. Was that role there from the beginning, or was that, oh, we can get Bill, so let's give him something juicy to chew on?
It was what you said the second time. Yeah, but what we knew that we needed somebody, and I had been talking with Jay LaRose, and he kind of said no, and then when he found out that Bill's on, he was totally confirmed.
Ah.
Yeah, yeah, but he was giving me advice throughout because we had to turn the film into a SAG production, and so he was filling me in on SAG stuff that I had no idea about. Everything I did was just flying by the seat of my pants, just trying to figure it out. And so, yeah, I was lucky at that time in my life, and that was like, I know the movie came out in 2019, but there was a time where it just sat on the shelf, and then we did some reshoots later on. But that time in 2012, 2013, I did have someone that was helping with financing,
Nice.
and so that was super helpful, obviously, right? As filmmakers, and right now I'm on another project, and we don't have the funding to finish it. It's like 90% done, so we're scraping, trying to find that money.
Is that just out of curiosity? I know we're gonna come back to it too, but is that Area 5150?
That is, yeah.
Okay, so yeah, we'll dive into it because I
Yeah.
because I definitely we're gonna get to that one as well because that one looks. I saw the trailer. I saw the what you have up on your campaign. So we definitely gonna make sure people know about that. But yeah, the so it's fascinating. I gotta ask because I would. This is why I don't do the directing. Eugene does the directing because Eugene is much more professional than I am. I would totally fanboy out. I mean, I would. I mean, I did. I mean, I gotta ask you, did you? Because it's
Oh,
Bill. You know,
oh,
it's
with Bill.
straight.
Oh, I'm I'm friends with him now. Like, that's so it was worth the price. It was worth the
That's
price.
amazing.
Yeah.
Worth the price of admission.
Yes.
Ah.
Yes. Yeah. Write that down.
That is fantastic. That is
Yeah.
awesome. So
Yes.
that so that go ahead.
Oh, I was totally fanboying. Like, I was the one that had to pick him up at the airport. Like, not meaning like I had to. I'm like, I have to. Like, that's my job. I'm picking him up, and I'm taking him a barbecue, the best barbecue in our town, and it was great, great place, Nancy's Barbecue in Sarasota. So I took him right there. He loved it, and then and we hung out. We talked. That was really the first time I really you know got to enjoy his company. And this years later, we actually got together like a month ago and went to Danny Trejo's Donuts for coffee and hung out. And yeah, it's pretty awesome. And he's been very supportive. Uh, just the last few films, I would love to have him, but he's a little bit expensive, and my other projects have been non-union. That's the real reason.
Mm,
Uh,
mm.
so yeah, I would have to turn it into a SAG production again, and I didn't want to do that with these last couple films. Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, I had the brief moment, like a brief meeting. I got to meet Bill very, very, like it's very, very quick. I had to have, have a little chat with him, in the middle, it was at a convention and got to go through and, and just, chat him up like that and then carry on. But, very personable guy, really, really cool, just really approachable. And, that's awesome that you were able to secure him and to bring him in to do
Yeah.
that. And I got to ask, because he's a phenomenal, like phenomenally inventive talent. Like, the guy is just brilliant in his conveyance of his characters. And I got to wonder how much of that was improv. How much did he just kind of roll, or was all of that straight scripted, or did you let Bill just kind of play and say, "This is what we're trying to convey. Have fun with it," and go off? Because that shit is so natural. I was kind of like, that's just got to be off the top of his head. The whole, like, philosophical, musings between him. I was kind of like, okay, come on, because the dude's
Yeah.
amazing.
No, about 90. something percent that was script.
Fucking A, that is
I just knew
awesome.
I knew how to write for him. I knew it. I found out that he was left-handed. I'm left-handed, so that kind of stuff was really easy for me. The only thing that he really improved was he was talking about his buttons, and you're a fashion plate there, you have all these buttons, and I really like your getup, 'cause really it was just like he was in that scene. He's trying to get this other clown to go to his circus, and he's just like complimenting him and trying to get him to join his circus. So that some of that was improv where I don't remember how it went, but I think he just like jumped into it, and it was great. Yeah, I was totally open for improv, 100%.
So
Super down to earth. He was very easy to work with. Oh, and yeah, it was mostly scripted. His
oh, that's
what we
right.
wrote
Yes.
what we wrote for him. Yeah,
Fantastic, then fantastic writing and fantastic work on him. His delivery is always so natural, and I love what he brought to it. So, that brings us to your new big hitter. And I want to say this, and I know I don't want to I don't want to get too wordy and dominate thing here, but I will say this: we were introduced to the film. I found the trailer and immediately had to show it to our audience over on the podcast, over on the show. And the thing that got me, see if I can actually say this without sounding absolutely ridiculous. The feeling I got from watching that trailer, why I love it so much, is because it was like that moment when the opening of the trailer it has an almost kind of campy feel to it. But
yeah,
then there's a moment where it shifts and it's suddenly really serious. It's like you have that shift moment. It's like, oh, that moment was like realizing that the person you've been in the room alone in a room with this entire time is actually really dangerous. And it was like that first time you glance at the door, you're like, that first moment when you glance, it's like, maybe I should leave because I got that feeling when I was watching this trailer. I loved that shift in tone right there,
yeah,
which goes to show the level of depth. And I think really the where it is a cannibal and he is a comedian in that respect. And we've only seen the trailer, but I loved going into that deeper aspect. And I thought that was really, really neat. And I don't know how much you could talk about the film. I know it's currently in festivals right now, but coming up with Cannibal Comedian, first and foremost, is it shared universe, same universe, or completely new?
completely new. Yeah,
Awesome.
there are a few Easter eggs though.
Looking forward to those.
Yeah,
Awesome.
there are past films and future. Yeah,
So, what led to? I mean, because it feels very much from the tone of the trailer. It feels very much this is kind of like that things led up to this. Like, this one's really going to make a mark. And how long has that story been brewing with you for a minute, or has it been brewing for a minute, or
yeah. So it's been 3 years, three 3 years plus in the making, and then it was probably a year before that, so 4 years.
nice?
Yeah, so it was a year of writing, and I was getting help from other writers at that time. I was a production assistant. I was on sets working on big productions, and then I was also in the writers' room for another gig, and that's where I met the showrunners and a couple of the writers that actually wrote on the Dust Till Dawn series and the Scream TV series, and they would give me great notes, and it was super cool. It was just a great gig because there's so much downtime, and I was able to like write my script in like basically a writer's room of another show.
That's awesome.
That's a good gig. So what was the other thing I was? What were you asking? Sorry,
That the
brain
culmination of
fart.
this one, because tonally it's so different from Big Top and from Mangrove and your early stuff, that there's definitely I would say there's a very, very compelling vision here as to what was being conveyed in the trailer that I saw. And it feels like it comes from a different place, and really curious about how that kind of welled up.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's a great question. That's what I was gonna say. When I worked out here in Hollywood after moving from Florida, and it was like 3 years in seeing how the Hollywood machine, how that thing really runs, and learning positions. I didn't know I really didn't know what a grip was or a best boy. I didn't know this stuff. I just, you know, I I figured it out just by just getting in there and just being a part of and watching other bigger directors how they work. That was like my film school really, being a production assistant out here. And so when I went to Cannibal Comedian, I really just took all that I learned and really, I had a first AD, a second AD. Yeah, yeah, like I had, and the second AD did, she'd do different jobs like script supervisor and stuff. But I didn't know all this stuff, and so first things first was have a great script. Uh, and I did the best I could. It's funny. We shot we shot the whole thing in like 6 days, and but what you're seeing in the trailer is a lot of other pickup shots. And uh, later on, my producer Ryan James came on. We had a rough cut already. So we already had a rough cut. It was like 80 minutes or something like that. And when he came in, he knew this movie had something. He came in just as an actor in one scene, I think like you, he saw that this thing had something, some substance. It was kind of dark, but also funny. And so when he watched when he watched the rough cut, he was just like, okay, let's go back to the drawing board. And then we started collaborating, and we collaborated with Cortland Gordon, who actually is the behind the scenes director on Talk to Me. And so
Nice.
he's got a big YouTube page as well. It's called Oddest of the Odd. And I adore him, and he ended up helping with some structure and doing a second pass of the edit. And so he brought some really great energy, and really when you get to see the film, there's some stuff that Cortland did that either grossed you out or made you laugh from an edit, from a direct edit. So it's just amazing. Yeah. Now I'm forgetting where I was going with that. I know I go off and
Oh,
some.
it's all good. Yeah, because the experience in itself. I mean, the individuals are involved. We all know it's a team effort, and the
Yeah.
things that people when you bring people in, and especially talented individuals, but you never know what they can bring to the table. When they bring you, oftentimes they surprise you, and they kind of blow your mind. I've seen that happen 100 times before, where it's kind of like, holy, I never envisioned it going this way. That's why I love that it's a cooperative effort. Like, everybody at the table and everybody kind of like brings something in. I always love that experience, that
Oh,
collaborative experience.
right. And that's what I was going to say. We
Mm.
shot, even though the script, like I did the best I could on it, we literally shot 30% more movie and took out things. And so it's just like, you just don't know when we like changed. We have a new ending. I mean, it was like a pre-ending thing. The movie's different. Like there's things that are in it that are different, and and I did the best I could with the script and shooting it. So it's just like one good thing is we didn't have a studio. The bad thing is we didn't have any money, but we were able to shoot through because we didn't totally stop with COVID. We were able to shoot some scenes out in the desert. I even would go out there and get B-roll and shoot things
Nice.
on my own and get some sunrises, sunsets, and lizards and different reptiles that also spiders and stuff like that and snakes. So oh my. So yeah, yeah. It was yeah, it's just funny how that process works. So I'm writing a script right now, and I hope that I don't have to shoot 30 or 40% more movie after it's shot. So I'm trying to do the best I can on this one. But I truly did the best I could, and it still just needed so much work. But I'm so grateful that Ryan and Cortland came in, and Ryan is just like really just helping it just finish this thing off. Like he came in on final edit, and yeah, so yeah, man. I
Beautiful.
mean, we won a ton of awards. We've played. We had the premiere in June, and then and now we're playing tomorrow. which I don't know when this is going to be on, but it's gonna be Saturday. What is it? The 18th, 1 p.m.
Saturday, yeah.
Yeah, Days of the Dead, which we won. I have the trophy here.
Nice.
See,
Oh, that is
kind of
sick. Yeah, you're good. Oh yeah, there we go. That's nice.
best feature in Indianapolis. So that was our first really big win. And then from there, we and I have another trophy here too. I don't know if you're familiar with Joe Bob Briggs.
Yes.
We did
So I
the World Drive-In, and we won a hubby for
fucking
best
fucking
for a
A.
feature. Yeah. So you put a lot of passion into it, and you just don't know if people are gonna like it or not. But they seem to be liking this film. I do think it has substance and its original concept, and Aaron Prager, who plays the cannibal comedian, is incredible in the film. So
Oh, he looks amazing. Just from the trailer alone, that looks
yeah,
amazing. And you guys
yeah.
have been watching the updates. You guys are crushing it on the festival circuit. Any idea as to like how you want to distribute? Like, if you want to go straight to streaming? Any or is all that still way down the road?
We would like Screambox, or Shutter. So that I mean, we went to some distribution companies before we did the run, the film fest run, and we had a few offers, and then some turned us down. And so I'd like to revisit some of these other distribution companies,
Okay.
and Big Top Evil. We went with Gravitas Ventures. Nothing too horrible about them. They showed you your quarterlies. They ended up we finally got out of the red, and we got paid something, uh, and went straight to my producer. So I never saw a dime. But she put the money in. She's still not even. She's in debt from the
Cool.
from the film or whatever. Yeah, she's in the red. So it's all a gamble. But we we want to you know we don't want to get, obviously, like anybody, you don't want to get screwed over. You don't want to be the old lady going to the mechanic not knowing, just, I just need an oil change, and then they're like, you need a new transmission, ma'am.
This is
so
true.
so we just said, we gotta go. We have some good people behind us on this one that can really look over contracts and things like that. But yeah, the distribution is a whole other animal, and you probably know some about that too. But we want to make a good deal, so we don't know when it's going to be streaming yet. We haven't sold the movie yet.
And yeah, it's always so dicey because I know that I've got a couple of friends who are working. So like a good friend of the show, Tori Jones. I don't know if you're familiar with that name. He did the Wicked One and the Wicked Ones, and he's currently trying to handle his new one coming out, The Boy from Below. And
Cool.
what he's putting out there, that movie's going to look amazing, but he is running through the same freaking hassles and hurdles that you're dealing with as well, just trying to like hammer that out. And lots of good days, lots of like kind of grr days.
Yeah.
So definitely familiar with that stuff. Now, and I cannot wait. We'll follow for updates, and we'll put the links to everything so people are aware when it does go live. Because I know everybody's going to want to see it. The live stream reaction to the trailer was really positive, so I know
Cool.
people are looking forward to it.
Yeah, and
Um,
also, sorry, to answer your
no,
question, yeah, we want to have it streaming. We want to have physical copy, and we also want to do more theatrical. So we want to do the whole thing.
hell yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
definitely. So, one thing I noticed, and it's always a beast to try and handle, is crowdfunding.
yeah,
Crowdfunding is an animal in and of itself that, can bite. It's a double-edged sword. You can bite both ways. And like one of our previous guests on the front row, that's how he did his first major feature film. Was he did it through crowdfunding, and he had no idea what he was getting into when he did it. Fortunately, he had someone to help. And I see that you're doing the same thing with your newest one, Area 5150, with Felissa Rose. I saw
yes,
is in that trailer. So that's awesome.
yeah, and
And
also Vernon Wells is in the movie
mhm.
too. Yeah.
and yeah, but being such a different animal, like how has your experience with crowdfunding been thus far?
Oh, I had that thing like in the pit of your stomach, like to even do it. It's just every ounce of me didn't want to do a crowdfunding. Uh, but we had a good team, a small team, but we had the right people, and we already shot most of the movie, so we were able to go right into like these are the people we have in it. This is what it is, and we the same. Her name's Grace. She did a lot of graphic design for the Terrifier movies, and so she came in and did a great job, just really showcasing like the shirts and like everything really popped, and it just had such a cool vibe, and it was just something like basically we were like we want something where someone's just like I gotta have this, I want
Nice.
this. And yeah, I mean we're not even close uh, to being done with. I mean we have 90% of it is shot or even more, but we still need the second rough cut. And we also are, you know even though we raised 23,000 on there, a lot of it, or not a lot of it, sorry, certain percentage of it, went to producer, uh, or it went to the actual Indiegogo itself. They
Mhm.
take a percentage, and then like
Right.
at the end of the day, we're like, okay, we got like 15 to play with, and then all of a sudden that was gone in a week. It was all gone. I
Wow.
mean, just from camera equipment to, we brought in Vernon Wells. We shot in this ghost town out in Yucca Valley, and I'm really good with funding. Like I am the line producer basically, and I get things really cheap, and it's just things everything would add up. Just like we got like this big army truck, and they're like it's only 200, and then all of a sudden they're like no, you need to do the fuel, this and that. It's going to be 400, and then it's 500. So it seemed like everything was just going up. So that money got us as far as it could get us. It got us a rough cut as well, edit, and then we still owe all these people physical media posters, and now
Oh yeah, the rewards. Yeah.
it's been a long time.
Mhm.
And but everybody's been pretty cool about it, and it really is a donation to the movie as well.
Mm.
And we that money, we put it all into the movie, every single penny. And now we're sitting where we need, we need more funds to finish it, and it will get done. Like everything that I do, it does get done.
Awesome. And we're
Yeah,
definitely gonna put the link to the campaign down there in
yeah,
the description for everybody so they can check that out. Definitely the trailer looks fantastic, or the video that you have up for that looks
yeah.
great. So
The
everybody.
Oh, I was just gonna say the goal is to have it come out next year and be able to start the film festival circuit late summer next year.
Awesome.
So that
That's
is
that's
that is the goal for that film.
It's yeah, the crowdfunding, given what our previous guest Alex talked about, he was kind of like he had no idea he was getting into, but he got very lucky. He had a friend
Yeah.
who had done it before successfully and knew what to do, and they said he had a dedicated team that was like every day they were pushing, 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 and
Yep.
so he's like he had no idea what was involved in it because it's always so hit or miss because you put it out there and you got to make sure you have all your elements together, and it's just a whole nother animal. It's like a whole other production,
Yes,
in
and
trying to
that's
do
where I learned StreamYard. Because we
Nice,
were
excellent.
lives like a couple times a week. Uh,
That's great.
it was actually a lot of fun, and obviously when they're successful, it was an amazing experience, really, to be able to raise that and then be able to go out and shoot with that. That was really cool. My wife is like, that it's just like that money is, it's in a bank account, but then it's gone. It's just like it's not mine. It's just
So
like,
true.
one day, one day.
No, no, yeah,
Yeah, yep.
definitely know that feeling. So going forward, Area 5150, hopefully we're going to see that 2024. I know you're going to knock it out. And we're going to get that one as well. Cannibal Chameleon, or sorry, I keep wanting to say Chameleon. It's fucked up. Cannibal Comedian, definitely can't wait for that one to come out as well because it's been crushing it on the festival circuit. But going forward, now that you've got, just judging by the two trailers, by like Cannibal Comedian and by Area 5150, you've got this solid handle on it. You've come so far, and learned so much from Mangrove Slasher, and your form and your vision has solidified, and there's nowhere to go but up for you. So going forward, is there any kind of particular like personal goals or something that you're like person you want to work with, or a particular movie you want to say, a movie you want to do going forward in the future, something maybe down the road somewhere?
Right. Yeah, I have a rough draft, and I'm working with Mark Cerulli, who's he's an actor in Cannibal Comedian, and then he's also in Area 5150. Brilliant writer, and so we have basically a second draft of a new script, and really the goal is everybody gets paid. Yeah. I everything I want to step up. There was a lot of Cannibal Comedian where, there's actors that just need it for their reel. They need
Mhm.
something, or they just want to be part of something, and that's great. I mean, I'm not sure if this is 100. I'm not sure if it's 100% true, but uh, I I vaguely remember like Martin Scorsese worked with Robert De Niro, and they did like a short, and Robert De Niro wasn't paid on that. So it's like, look, Robert De Niro being okay with that. Look at what happened,
Right.
So if that is true, and that's probably happened before, and so yeah, I mean, and the next one would be a SAG production, and there is one actor I would like to work with on that. I mean, I think of the actors that would fit what it is, but Tobin Bell would be really
Nice.
cool, and he's I don't know how tough he is to get. I know he doesn't do the horror conventions and things like that, so that's one person. I mean, I would love to work with. I mean, that within the project that it makes sense, like someone like a Dana Carvey from uh,
Nice.
from SNL, yeah, because we have sort of like a Wayne's Worldy thing going on in this next film. So to get someone like that, I mean, he really is the goat of SNL, and I mean, really, I top would be Jim Carrey. Would be like that to work with that guy would probably be number one.
That would be
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah,
Definitely,
yeah,
definitely.
yeah. So it's
All
just small,
right.
kind of small goals, really. Just like bigger budget, everybody gets paid, you know, and we don't go back doing additional photography for 2 years. Those are the goals,
That is
and yeah,
awesome.
everybody, including me, I get paid too.
It's always nice. It's always
Yeah,
nice when the
yeah,
when the that was the rule of thumb. That when I was back in film school, that was the rule of thumb is like, you haven't booked a gig if you get like what was it? What was my teacher said? If you go to the if you get the audition, you haven't booked the gig. If you get the callback, you haven't booked the gig. If you get hired, you haven't booked the gig. If you complete your role and wrap the film, you haven't booked the gig. When you get paid, you haven't booked the gig. When the check fucking clears, that's when you book the gig.
that's awesome. I love that.
But definitely, this has been absolutely awesome. So I want to thank you, Sean, for sitting down with us. And I'm sorry for the little interruption with the internet there. Frigging, whatever. But I'm glad we got through it. But thank you so much with it taking time out of your busy schedule out there on the West Coast. And man, all the absolute success for Cannibal Comedian and Area 5150 and the future films going forward, man. You deserve every single thing that you get because man, the sky is the limit. From what I'm seeing and from what all of our fans are seeing, we cannot wait to see what you have in your pocket.
Oh, thank you so much. And if anyone is out in LA, December 2nd, Culver City Film Festival, Cannibal Comedian is going to be playing 7:30 p.m. Saturday block. So that's December 2nd on a Saturday night here in LA. So tickets are online, culvercityfilmfestival.com. Yeah.
Fan friggin' tastic.
Yeah.
We'll make sure everybody has that link. All right. Well, thank you again, Sean, for sitting down with us. It's been an absolute pleasure. This has been great. Thank you to everyone out there listening. We hope you enjoyed this edition of the Week in Horror Front Row with my special guest, an awesome director and writer and amazing talent, Sean Haitz. He is kicking ass and taking names out on the festival circuit with his new one, Cannibal Comedian. We will get further details when that releases very soon. As soon as we get them, you will have them. But if you get the opportunity, definitely try and check it out. If a festival's near you and it's playing, get fucking tickets. Go support go support it. Go see it because just by the trailer alone, it's fucking amazing. So definitely go and check that out and look for his Indiegogo campaign for Area 5150.
Yes.
We will put the link for that in the description as well. So,
Also, one
oh
other
yeah,
thing, toxicdoomstudios.com. You can buy not this Cannibal Comedian shirt. This is an OG one. We have a brand new Cannibal Comedian shirt made by them at toxicdoomstudios.com. It's incredible. It's a great, like, it's got a heavy metal murder horror kind of vibe to it. It looks it's phenomenal shirt. So we're really excited about those shirts.
Toxic Doom Studio. That's a fucking awesome name. That is
Yeah.
just fucking sick. I love
Yeah.
that. I do.
Hardcore. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much. And of course, if you are listening to this now, or if you're not a part of our Patreon, you can get early access to these interviews and where we sit down with these amazing professionals that help to make this genre the one that we love so very, very much. So definitely consider supporting us there so you can hear what we talk about, all this cool stuff. You get early access to that. Definitely we help to support us, and we'll make this thing happen. So thank you all very much. This has been Week in Horror Front Row. I am your host, JL. And as always, we'll see you next month. And until then, stay scared.